Hello, Calvary. Um, you all know Enoch. He's been staying with us since January 2019, and he's a senior this year at Calvary. So he's one of many seniors who is very disappointed about what's happening right now. And well, there is another little guest in the room, and that is a finch in the corner, and you might hear him chirping, but we'll just ignore that. So, Enoch, what year were you born?
I was born in 2001.
2001. Now, you've told me a story. Your birth was not ordinary. Something happened.
So when I was born, the belt that tangled mom and the baby, that thing,
The umbilical cord?
yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
how it's
umbilical
called.
cord.
That thing tangled my neck for 3 rounds, something like that, and for 3 minutes or 5 minutes. And according to what the doctor said, then my brain will lack oxygen, and then there's nothing that can save me from that. But my parents prayed, and they felt peaceful, and eventually I was born, and now I'm here.
So, you went through elementary school, and then in middle school, it's probably when you became aware that your father's occupation was not like the other kids at school. What did your father do for a living?
He was a pastor. It's more like the Christians' friends. They came over to our house, and then we gathered together, and then we will do like worship, and then they will share the Bible verses and their opinions. That's what my dad was doing.
All right, now, those of you that are not familiar with the church in China, there's the officially sanctioned church, and what do they call that? Three words?
Three self church.
Three self church, and there's a Protestant and a Catholic form of that church, and that's sanctioned by the Chinese Communist Party, and they approve everything. They approve the sermon. They approve who can attend. They keep a list of who attends, and that's completely controlled. Even though Chinese Communist Party members are not allowed to be members of a church, there is at least one assigned to every church to keep tabs on. The facial recognition cameras that are installed are aimed at the congregation so that the government can keep track of who is attending the official church. But as you probably know, the house church movement has grown exponentially in the past 20, 30 years. And it is probably the fastest growing church movement on the planet. The house church that Enoch's father started and was a pastor of is called, can we say the name?
I think so.
Okay, Livingstone Church. But something happened I think it was in November or December of 2015. And tell the folks what happened to your father at Livingstone Church.
So that day, my father was taken away. So like they put my father into the prison for 2.5 years for disclosing the state secrets, something like that. For sure, my dad didn't do that because none of us know what state secrets are. Anyway, he was put into the prison for that, and after he was arrested, the church got shut down by the government. That's what happened.
So, a little bit of background on Enoch's father's church. It started out small, like Enoch's home is on the fourth floor. It's half of the fourth floor of an apartment building. And so those were the houses that the house church was meeting in. Then this church grew and structured and organized, and somehow they purchased the 24th floor of a new office building. The whole 24th floor was Livingstone Church. So they shut down the church and they took his dad to prison. Had your father prepared you for the possibility that he might someday be taken away?
Yes, he mentioned that a lot. He said what he's doing is not what the government would like. So he would be in trouble one day, but that day is in God's hand. When that day comes, you would need to take care of your mom and your brother, since you would be the only like man in the family.
Speaking of your mom and your brother, this is Enoch's family, and you might be thinking, how does he have a little brother? Well, this is true. China has a single child policy, but how did your brother come into the picture?
At that special period, when you are born in Hong Kong, they can't count you as born in China as the second kid. And then they can't do anything with you. So my brother was born in Hong Kong.
So that's a big responsibility for your father to say you're the man of the home. You probably didn't feel so much like a man of the home yet. On June 1st in China is a holiday called Children's Day. So when Enoch was 15 on June 1st, that his family was under close surveillance from the government while his dad was in prison. So tell us about that day.
So on that day, one of my mother's friends, she wanted like to help to treat the kids of the pastor families. That day we went to McDonald's, and then on our way to the bus stop, the suspectors were like following us all the way. They are policemen because they have like some license, but they are in plain clothes. And then they were so close, like 2 feet away when we were waiting at this bus stop. They were asking us to go to McDonald's in their police car. And my mom said, no, we are not doing that.
And other people, strangers, start to gather for the same bus. And these policemen are harassing them to get in our car.
Harassing, and asking over and over again.
And then finally Enoch speaks up and says, what is wrong with going to McDonald's? Is that against the law? And everyone is listening.
And then they were kind of surprised of that because they didn't expect that to happen. And then they showed like a little bit more polite. When we finished our meals at McDonald's, they asked us to go home in their car. And then, like when we got off the car, so many people in our neighborhood gossiped us, like blah 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 blah, since we got off the police car. So they would think there must be something wrong with them. Anyway, so that was the first time I spoke out.
So that was maybe one of the first times that your family was harassed after your father was in prison. How many times did you go visit your father in prison?
3 times, I believe. Only on summer, like on my summer break or winter break. Because the day my dad could visit family members is on Monday. But on that day, I have school to go, and so does my brother. So my mom will ask my aunt to take care of us, and then she will go to the prison to visit my dad.
So his father's in prison for at least 2 birthdays. Tell us about that, why that birthday was so special.
So on that birthday, like my mom was writing to my dad, and one of my mother's letter, like she showed one of it to the friends in the church, and then they read about that and they found out, oh, November 17th is Enoch's birthday. We should like celebrate it for him since his father is not here. But actually, that was not what I want, because I just want like have a quiet birthday party. Anyway, and then on that day, like many people came, And then they were just like we were worshiping together. My mom made good food to serve them, and when everyone was still there, my dad called my mom's phone, and then like he was in the prison. If you are a prisoner, you have to apply for a phone call. To those people who are in charge of those things will decide when to give you the phone call, and then like which day, what time, and then just right on that day, and he just called my mom, and then like my mom said, Enoch, it's your dad. And then I asked him like if he could sing me a happy birthday song, and then he did. And at the end of the song, like I started crying, and my dad didn't make the song either, like because he started crying at the end of the song. And then like before that day, I was thinking, it's gonna be alright if I don't cry, and then I won't spread out the sadness to to my mom, and to my brother. So I couldn't cry. If I cry, who's gonna like take care of them? But on that day, I just thought, oh, I couldn't hold it up. I just can't bear it, and I started crying. And my mom saw me crying, and she came and hugged me, and she cried. And my brother didn't know what happened, and he cried too. And everyone there was just very moved. And then they sang several worship songs together, and eventually that was how it was special.
So when his father got out of prison, which was June in 2018, something like 4 or 5 new surveillance cameras aimed at the front door of their apartment building, so that anytime he leaves, he is followed. And that's still true even today.
Well, let's see how long it takes you to find me.
我们也做了像人和车的匹配，那同时在人上匹配还包括亲属关系匹配，然后是。
Well, here we are then. I've just got out of the car. My image has already been flagged to the authorities as a suspect. It should only be a matter of time.
通过，他就站在，哎，对，就是指的，就是指的。
Hello, guys. I've been expecting you.
需要来做这项工作的。
If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear.
对，是这样。所以说，老百姓应该不用担心。
So you went to school as if everything was normal. Your classmates, did they ever say, hey, I heard your father's in prison? Or
No,
how did they not know about that?
I'm not sure. I don't talk about that.
Since we're talking about school, why don't you tell them what the typical day of school was like once you got into high school?
I needed to wake up at like 5:50 and had breakfast. Then I will arrive at the bus stop at around 6:30, and then I will take that bus to school. And then at 7:20, the morning reading, something like that, start. And we read for 20 minutes, and then school would start at 7:40. And then we will finish our afternoon classes at 5:30. And then we have 1 hour of dinner time. Then we came back at 6:30. Then we took like 2 hours of study hall. And I normally got home at around 9:15, and then I still have homework to go. So I went to bed at around like 11 o'clock, and then the next day starts.
Well, So you're probably looking forward to a weekend with nothing to do. You go to the park and play on Saturday. What are your weekends like in China?
So for Saturday, we still have like half a day to do. We won't get out of school until 12:30, and then for Sunday we have to go back to school to take an exam at 6:30 p.m. to 8:30. So basically we don't have any weekend.
So that was what school was like. And when your father got out of prison, the end of June 2018, he's been in prison for 2.5 years. There are many, many, many articles written about this situation. And within about 1 week, I'm sitting in my office at Calvary Christian Schools, and all of a sudden I get this email. And it's very short. Hello, my name is Enoch. I want to know how I can come to Calvary Christian School. We have a mutual friend named Bob Fu. He has told me about your school and that maybe I can come. I would like to learn in a Christian school. Sincerely, Enoch. And this particular email mentioned the person who had spoken at the Calvary banquet just 1 year before. That got my attention. So I contacted Bob down in Texas and I said, hey, just got an email from a student named Enoch. Can you tell me more about that? And he told me all about it, sent me a whole bunch of articles about his father. And I said, yes, we'll do what we can to help him. So